be talking about the basics of an action potential. So if I'm looking at my change in voltage, right? So I'll draw a little graph here. So if I change in got my millivolts here on one side. It's got 0, negative 70, plus 70, plus 50, plus 30, minus 30, minus 50. My cells, right, if a reminder, my cells typically sit at negative 70 millivolts, right, or that resting membrane potential. But then we get lots of graded potentials, right? My body is sending lots and lots of signals to tell the rest of the neurons what's going on, what to do about it. And so we get little graded potentials where we can go up or down depending on how the neuron is talking. Now, eventually, we might get enough positive graded potentials together to reach this kind of sweet spot here between the negative 55 and negative 65, a region called threshold, or that negative 55. Once we get to that negative 55, we are going to fire an action potential. We are at threshold, we are going to fire it. And it's going to be the same every time. So same speed, same intensity, same everything. It doesn't matter what it is, it's going to be the same. I'm the mother of small toddlers, and I will tell you, if you tell a toddler that we are going to bed, the scream of not wanting to go to bed will be the same every single time. So think of an action potential just like a toddler not wanting to go to bed. You say it's time for bed, they will scream. The scream will be the same volume, same intensity, same tantrum every time. Hopefully that'll change. But for the action potential, it's going to happen. Now, why is that? Why does it open at that point? That is because we have activation gates for my sodium channels. My sodium channels are going to open at that threshold. When that opens, right, remember that sodium is primarily on the outside, so it's going to want to go in. This causes a rapid depolarization. So we got depolarization. And eventually, though, it's going to get to a little bit around plus 30, plus 40. And when we get to that point, right, remember my sodium channel, it's open, but remember we have an inactivation gate. So when we get too positive, we are going to close. We don't want any more sodium in. But we don't want to keep my neuron at this positive charge. So how does my body respond? Well, on the other side, we had a potassium channel. Potassium channel, right? Potassium likes to go out. And so when once we hit that positive, we open up so potassium can leave. That's a positive charge leaving my cell, which allows it to become more negative. This happens very quickly, and it actually happens so fast with such intensity that we actually overshoot this negative 70. We refer to this phase as repolarization because we are getting back to what we like, which is that negative 70. And then if we're below it, we'll refer to that overshoot as hyperpolarization. And during this hyperpolarization, we're going to close that inactivation gate. One thing I want to point out is as we're repolarizing, the cell is starting to go back to some of the voltage changes that it liked before. And as we're getting to this point over here, some of my sodium gates are available again. Some of them are going to be able to fire again. This is what we refer to as the relative refractory period, where it's not likely that I'm going to send a lot of signals, or even any, because I don't have a lot of voltage-gated channels available, but I'm starting to have some. Because I have some doors available, I might be able to fire again. However, that's only once we start getting to this very end of the signal. Before that, anywhere before that, is what we call the absolute refractory period. because all of my sodium gates are already being used. I'm already using all my sodium. There's no more doors to open, so I cannot send any more signals. But these all add up together and ultimately allow for these act potentials to flow down through the cell and then ultimately elicit a response at the end of the neuron. I hope this makes this a little more clear, adding it all together.